Okay, today's Mishnah is a very difficult Mishnah. Does that sound familiar?
Which one wasn't?
Yeah. If any of them are easy, that means that you were sleeping. That's basically the truth. But sometimes there's a convergence of ideas that make it just hard to even read through it, so to speak. All right, let's go to mikvah is as follows. We have over here the subject of hashaka, and we struggled the last few weeks with the Sheferes Hanod aspect, and what does hashaka do? It makes it into one place, two places, the same water, different waters. That was the subject we're dealing with, and we're dealing with that in a little bit of a different tweak today.
Yeah.
Okay.
A general question.
Yeah.
I was learning some in Pesachim, and I got the impression there that the Arba'im Sa was only for people, not for Kalim. Is that true or partially true?
Well, midaraisa, you could table in Revius, Kalim, Machtim Tzinaris.
Right.
But they were geyser that it has to be Arba'im Sa. Then they went over to everything. Whether it's two steps or not, that's a question.
Wait, for people, it's also the meter abundant Arba'im Sa, or
no, it's midaraisa. It's a sheer daraisa. That's sheer she'adam oila bazeh.
Right.
It's a sheer. That's a sheer. That's the Gemara in Pesach, the Gemara in Sukkah. It's a sheer. Now, there's you have the midget guy or the giant guy. That's where it's the get to the sheer. But the sheer is that Adam Oilaba. The Gemara in Nazir says clearly that the Midaraisa Revius is the sheer mikvah. We learned this in Parak Aleph. Revius is the sheer mikvah daraisa that you have a mikvah. Now, could be for certain things you need a bigger mikvah, like for people. But the sheer of a mikvah is a sheer of a revius.
So all the cases we had with the kalim in the mikvah and that was all derabanan because you didn't need the 47. Well, however much you had in it would have been enough.
I don't know which mitzvahs you're talking to, but theoretically, yes.
Okay.
Definitely, it could be that Arba'im Sa. That's a din that the Lakhunos Chazal took away. If not mistaken, that's the lashon of the Gemara. Today is a good day because I'm actually right next to I'm rained out of my regular spot. So that's not a background that you're looking at. Those are real smart.
I think I was on Yud Ches number base.
No, I'm looking at the Gemara in Nazir. Stuff Nun. Nitzuk Beshamel Revius. It's around here someplace. These are Geschmack Gemaras. We're not finding it. No, we're not finding it now. But it's the Gemara in Nazir. The Gemara says Hamidu Arabias, and that's it. Then that's we'll find a few. After the shir, I'll open it up and I'll find it. Okay. Anyways, Mitarinus hamikvos el yom min atachton arachok min akorov. This is I'll just start with the middle case, the arachok min akorov, which is the most puzzling to me. I couldn't find anybody who said really a pshat that I enjoyed, except for Chaim Greidman, which he just disagreed with all the Rishonim, so that wasn't so enjoyable either. But the Rishonim say that if you have a very long Shperes Hanoid going from one place to the other, a very long connection, so maybe you have to be Chayshesh that somehow or another the connection is going to break. But, I don't know what the subject of that chash is exactly. It's I don't know if it's a statistical thing or just if you have a little bit of water. Why should it be such a thing? But that's what the Rishonim learned. The Rav learned like that. The other ones learned like that also. And I just say the Rav. Not choishish that somebody came and somehow terminated the hashaka while the tefillah was happening, or before the mikvah. Now, why should you be choishish that? So, the mind wanders to say that the longer it is, the bigger statistical chance there is. But why should there be such a chash? It really eludes me. I don't know. But what is the Aliyah min HaTachton? The Aliyah min HaTachton is you have two different pools of water, one higher up on the hill and one lower down on the hill. And we'll use the simple case of the Reisha. The lower down mikveh is a kosher mikveh, and the top mikveh is a shov mikveh. So we want to attach them to be metaher the shuvim with a connection to the lower mikveh. So we have gravity working against us because obviously the water would run down, and you want the water to go from down to up. Now, the truth of the matter is, what I just said right now is nonsense, because it really doesn't make a difference if I have the water going up or down. As long as I can get them connected, it doesn't really make a difference how I do it. The chayre, right? So that's, but we want the din of the lower one to be applicable to the top one, and therefore we want them to be connected. And so we're going to go right now to the end of the Mishnah. We're doing this Mishnah out of order because I believe that it's easier to learn that way. The last halacha. Let's read at least the mikveh. First, let's read it all. Ketzad, maybe silon shel cheres or shel aver. You bring a pipe made out of cheres or aver, and you cover the bottom end, and therefore it'll fill up. Achu mismale mayim, until the whole pipe is full of water. And then you have the two waters attached, because nothing you did was you artificially connected them. Really, the water should run out. So you did was you somehow or another put a stop so the water can't come out, and then you connected the two waters, and then you're in business. I feel and here you don't need to have shver sanoit. Over here, even a saira or is enough. Hayu be'el yain arboim so, v'tachta and enklu, and the bottom one is empty, and you want to use the bottom mikvah. So what do? Mimale bakosef, you pour water into the top mikvah, the noise in the elyon, and you dump it into the top mikvah. At sheyerdu latachta and arboim so, until the bottom one gets arboim so. So what is this halacha in English? This is called zriya. What did we do? What did we do? I'm not sure how to say it exactly, but let's speak about the simple case. The simple case would be that a person has a mikveh, and then he pulls the plug on it, and then it empties out to someplace else. So that's fine. So if I have a mikveh that, let's say, could hold 20 cube, and I have it only holding 10 cube, and now I put in more water. So afilu kol mem l'shaba'olam, don't parcel it, and they actually turn into mikveh water. Why? Because it's like zriya, it's like you planted it there, and it grew into it, became part of that mikveh. So once you have kosher mikveh, you can put kol mem l'shaba'olam into it, and they also become kosher water. Yes.
Is that another fancy word for saying it becomes botel?
No.
So then could you explain the difference, please?
Yes, I enjoy the question very much. Batel means, well, you know what? I'm sorry. Before I want to change my answer. What does batel mean? Sheffer, I'm speaking to you.
I know, but I can't answer you. It means several different things depending upon who's answering the question. It could be that.
So you want to know, when you ask the question, what did I understand you to mean? And then I'll tell you why I said no. And then if you tell me that that's not what you meant, then we'll go further, okay?
There were times that you said batel, it means it disappears altogether. And there were times in the past that you said batel, it loses its characteristics, but it's there and it could be chosev veneer. So it's not, doesn't become
right.
batel.
And this is neither of those.
That's what I suspected. So could you explain how it's neither of those?
Yeah, I'll explain you what it is. It becomes something else. It becomes just like, if I take a seed and I put it into the ground, the seed belonged to you. Somebody stole it, put it into the ground, and the tree grew out of it. Is that tree your seed?
No.
Okay, but it's true it was born out of your seed, if you want to use that okay? So, but it's something totally new, and it could be the grama of it could be that was your seed, but it's something totally new. So what happens is, when I have water that is shov, and I put it into, I'm using this word bedavka, which I'm not sure everybody agrees with this hesber, put it back into its natural habitat of being in the tahom. So then it reverts to becoming virgin water. So it's not that it lost its din of being she'uvim, it became mei tahom. It's a different, in bittul, I'll just make it clear, there's a halacha like this. If you have one of the halacha, there's a great discussion in the Paiskim. This is something which happened many times throughout history. A lot of chuvas written about this. There was apostle sefer Torah. So the meaning of apostle sefer Torah is you take the gartel and you put it on the outside of the sefer Torah. That's what all good Jews do. Now it came Simchas Torah, and they gave the bachrim to put the plastic bags on the svarim so that they know that they don't get ruined from getting sweated up. So what do these bachrim know? They're not paying attention, they're big rush, and took the gartel off of the apostle sefer Torah. When they redressed the sefer Torah, they put the gartel on the inside. So we have over here 3 sefer Torah, and we know one of them is apostle, but we have no idea which one. Can we say that it's batel? Okay, so many places can say that it won't help you bittul b'roiv, because bittul b'roiv can only make something that is a negative into a neutral, but bittul b'roiv can't make something into positive. I can't make something lishma because it was bittul b'roiv. The only thing I can do is take off an isser. So over here, are you with me on that concept, Sheffer?
Let's say yes.
Minyan anyway, isn't it?
What?
Sefer Torah is a davar chashuv, a davar minyan. That's not.
But the psul is not a davar chashuv. That's the Aruch LaNer discusses your question. So does the Chassam Sofer, but let's put it this way: your question is a good question, but the shayla exists for other reasons, anyways. But anyways, I like that you're very polite, Sheffer. It's very nice. We'll vote you for president of the United States.
It's very complicated. It's very complicated what you're saying. I can't agree to it without thinking about it.
Okay, fine. All right. But at least you understood.
I understand. I understand. And I don't want to be president.
Okay.
Isn't the raya that it's not batel is you have 40 sa and you could be pouring 80 sa in it and it still doesn't?
No, because that you could possibly say kama batel.
You could pour all in one shot and it's still
You still would say kama batel, could be. According to other avodah, that depends what kind of dinam it is when you'll say that. But yes, I agree with what you're saying. That's a possible raya. But the bottom line is that bittul can't give dinim. That's more or less, according to many achronim, true. Here we're calling it virgin water. I guess that's the best word to call it. I don't know of a better word to use. So it's not a bittul kind of a concept. It's better than bittul. It's better than bittul. And this has another nafkamina, like we'll discuss this other nafkamina about those opinions that say that the hashaka has to be there the whole time in order for it to stay not shov. But nobody says that by Zriya, because by Zriya it actually became kosher water.
Yeah,
He took up what?
You probably chose a veneer, and so he's moved out. And this doesn't have that problem.
Right. Okay. Exactly. Okay. All right. So what do you do? What do you do? And you pour into the top one, and then you have a kosher mikvah on the bottom. Now the issue with this Mishnah, which is very important, is there's a question whether there's such a thing as zriya be zoichalim. In other words, what's going on over here is you're keeping the faucet on your cup and it's spilling over the whole time. So really, at least in theory, one could say that the water never rested. The whole cup, we'll use that, the whole cup that you have, all the water of it is really going out. And Zriya possibly needs to have that it's done in a ashbar and in a standing place. To take care of this problem, there are many devices that are done halacha l'maisa. I'll just mention 3 different things which are done. In some mikvos, this is fascinating, this changed in the last 40 years. It used to be when your grandmothers went to the mikvah, there was one connection of a bor hashaka, and that was it. Then, about 50 years ago, or 60 years ago, they invented mikvos that had zriya. And shortly thereafter, they had mikvahs with both Zriya and Ashaka, and this is common. You go to any mikvah that you go to nowadays, men or women, there's both connections to Zriya and Ashaka. Now there are other chumras, which all these things will be discussed at some later point in life. There's some chumras that they want to have at least the first 21 saw that it should come from Megishamim alone, not even from an Oitzer. So there's a third plug that they pull on in the mikveh, and it comes in from a different place. Megisham, some even have 40 sav megisham. Some of the mikvahs, what they have is, we're going to make a picture over here. This is 40 saw. Okay, here is where the water goes out into the mikveh. Yeah, you people following me? Kadosh Baruch Hu did not bless me with artistic talent, so you have to bear with me. Anyways, so we fill up the mikveh. So you see right now, how much water do we have in the mikveh? About 90 saw or 100 saw. Right? This is 40. So this is, I don't know what it is, but it's more than 40. And now the water is 100% still. It's 100% beseder. Now we pull the plug and it goes into the mikveh. There's a problem about pulling the plug about Havaya de Tahira or not, and we'll discuss that maybe even today. But that's one way of filling up your mikveh, a foolproof way as far as Shu'uvim is concerned. Another way that they do it, how do we make sure that it's not a problem of Shu'uvim? So the Chazon Ish says, as long as this pipe is higher than Well, we'll do it. We'll start the other way around. We have the pipe go in lower than the out. So anything which is lower than the out, obviously is not going to go out. Right? Right? So therefore, that's called, it's ba'ashbar, and it's called standing water. Why? Even though all this water on the top is going to go out of the hole, but none of the water down here is going to go out of the hole. So even though I'm pouring in more and I'm causing water to go out, but the water that I'm pouring in is going to stay in, theoretically, or it's put into a stagnant place where it can't get out. So that's called zriya be'ashborin, even though it's not.
Even though it's all connected.
Even though it's all connected. Correct. Now the other place can hold that it has to be, it doesn't, some say it has to be that there's 40 saw on top of it, and some say it does not do 40 saw on top of it. That's a machlokas, and you go into different mikvos, and you will see some of them have a long pipe over here, and some have a short pipe. You never saw this b'chlal because this is behind the scenes. This is in the oitzer. This is not in the, it's not where you go to the mikvah. This is the place that's corona free. Okay. Anyways, now that's, so over here we have this question of why isn't this the problem of zriya b'zaychlim? Why? Because when you're pouring in the water, it's all going to go out. I'm overfilling my cup. Why isn't that a problem? So there are many answers given to the problem. One of the answers we discussed in an earlier Mishnah, we said that being the reason why it's going out is because somebody's pushing in more water. That's not called zeichlin. Zeichlin is when it's zeichel on its own accord. Here, you're forcing it out. That's not called zeichlin. That's one answer to the question. But just for the first round, we'll just stop over there and we'll carry on. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of the Mishnah. Maybe silon shel cheres or shel aver. Now the Mefarshim have a heyday on why did the Mishnah pick these two particular kinds of piping. If it would have said eights, I would have been happier. Why? Because eights, pshutikli eights, are not makabel tuma. I could understand why. But these things, aver is a metal, and pshutikli matris is makabel tuma. So what's the significance of these two in particular? And Tosfos Yontif says the significance is because these are pliable materials. And when you're going to have, just imagine you have two there's obviously a purpose for bills in the world. If you have, this is not a commercial. If you have two levels, and then you make a pipe go from one to the other, the pipe isn't into here. How do you get the water into here? So you have to either burrow down, or you have to make an elbow on the top that it should go in. And so the Tosfos Yontif says the reason why we spoke about these two, cheres and aver, is because they're pliable materials, and we can create it in a way that it can get the water. I will just say I don't know why cheres is pliable. I have no understanding of that. Unless it just doesn't mean cheres that was baked, because cheres is baked. If you have what?
Maybe in water it has something else.
What?
Maybe in water it has a different property. Normally it's fine, but in water maybe it changes.
Okay. I don't know. What do you put inside your cheres? You put water inside of it, right? But I don't know.
Before you bake it, you shape it to the way that you want.
I understand, and it's not a kli cheres.
Well,
you shape it now, and then you bake it while it's maybe.
And then,
okay.
But you could do the same thing with the wood. You could carve it out to the side as well.
Yeah, okay. So you slugged yourself up. I don't know exactly what to tell you, but there's an issue. There's some issue. I'm not satisfied with the answers. I'm at least satisfied that the Meforshim asked the question, so at least I'm on the right track. What the answer is, I'm not really sure of. But at any rate, so now we do is we, what?
Put up a picture of it if this shows it right.
Yeah, please.
Let's do it.
Aperture for filling immersion pools. Seating basin.
It's showing here the water comes in through here, goes into this.
Right.
Then it does the hashaka into the pool, it looks like.
It's not hashaka, that's the zriya, correct?
Oh, zriya.
Right.
And then here it has something that connects it.
Right. Okay, well, what you have over here.
Right, you see the pipe is lower. The inlet pipe is lower.
Right, it's that's exactly correct. Now, I can't, for some reason, I don't know how I move you people out. I don't know how I get rid of you out of my screen, but I need to move you. I don't know how I move you over here. There must be some way to move you, but I don't know how. So, whatever. I can't see what's on the bottom, what's underneath the,
It doesn't go all the way down. And it says
no,
not all
the upper Hashaka basin, under the other side, on the other side. Now there's underneath that another one.
Yes.
Now the reason for that is for a nasal savanosan, so we discussed this once, that idea. Okay. Anyways, but now if you'll notice, this is very important because I'm right now dealing with a mikveh in Chutz La'aretz. The Zriya hole is higher than the Hashaka hole. The right side is the Hashaka hole.
This is the Zriya.
No, that's the left side. That's the left side.
It's the Zriya and this is the Hashaka. Right?
So which one is higher?
Yes.
Oh, now why is that? Because we want the Hashaka hole always to be full, which we learned about in last Mishnah, right? And we don't want that there should be any backwash going out to the Zriya hole. So the way that it's figured when they build a mikveh, they figure the size of how many people can go into the mikveh, how much it can displace. And based on that, they'll decide the height of how high the Bor Zriya has to be above the Bor HaShaka. Hello. Okay, but this is a very nice picture. This picture actually has, and there's a reason for this. Just while we're looking at this picture, we'll fill you in on some fascinating things. Why do they have that the hole comes out where it does? Because they want that when the water comes into the mikveh, before it gets to the bottom step, it will have a, what's it called? It'll be going hamshacha on the karka. When it gets to that broad step, it's going to have
second step.
The second step, it's going to have hamshacha al karpa gilul tvachim, and therefore we have another safety valve that even if the mikveh was puzzle, could be it became kosher when you did it like that. Whereas if you would have it just like the hashaka hole, just on a different wall or on that place higher up, you wouldn't have that separate. I don't know. The word is not a chumrah. It's not a chumrah because you have no. It's a safety measure. It's a halachic safety measure. I don't know what. There must be some name for that. Paris, what do we call that? It's not a gzeira, and it's not. It's just a
good idea.
A good idea. Yeah, that's good. Okay, that sounds like a very fancy thing. Okay. Anyways, so what do? We take this this pipe and we put it in the top one, go into the lower one. Somehow we get the water running between the two, and you put your hand on the bottom of it to stop up the water, And this way, no, you're not, it's not in this picture. It's not going to help because this picture is wrong. This is how we build a real mikveh. This is not the case of our Mishnah.
Okay.
And so in the case of our Mishnah, you have the pipe from the higher.
Well, you wouldn't need it if you have the left side. You don't really need the right side, correct?
Well, there's a reason why we have both of them. Can you get rid of your picture for a second, Peretz?
Sure.
Okay. Here, nothing personal. My John Hancock is back. This is the top mikveh, and this is the bottom mikveh. And I made this kind of a elbow, which we'll have to discuss that also. Why isn't that called the kibbutz? But I'm not going to get involved in that right now. And I get this siphon going, I get it passed over here. I suck on it or whatever I do to get it passed over here. And I put my hand over here and I put it into the water. And when I feel that it's full, I take my hand away. When I do that, I have how much water? A whole pipe worth of water connecting the two. We did not say that this pipe is the width of a Shemeres Hanoid. Now, we'll see, I'm going to show you in a second, the Rush, it does say that that's what it's talking about. But when we filled it up, it was full, so there was a whole Shemeres Hanod connecting them. When I take off my hand, so there's an immediate rush out, it's not guaranteed that there will be a Shemeres Hanod the whole time, because I don't have that much pressure, okay? Now, what will happen, if we're just doing it with siphoning like the way I did, it's gonna stop, you're never gonna have a trickle, it's either all or nothing, that's really what's gonna happen. But it'll take a few seconds for that to happen. Now I'm gonna read the rush, and this rush is a very difficult rush. And I'll read this, and this one is better.
This Mishnah follows from the previous Mishnah. Why would you assume that it's not a Shemeres Hanod?
Okay. I like that question. So I'm going to support you right now, and I'm going to say it is a Shemeres Hanod, but there is, just to answer your question as a simple balabas, because the Mishnah says there's no Shemeres Hanod. Read the Mishnah.
I read the Mishnah before, and it's all connected.
With the Shemeres Hanod or with the Chut HaSayra? Okay. We'll read the Mishnah again. It says,
It says afilu kesaira.
yeah, but I don't have I'm in the wrong place. Here we go. Says the Rosh, like Shefer, says the Rosh, I'm reading the Rosh, could go and shtei mikvos ha'om mishipu ahar. Maybe seal manois and roish echa be'elyon roish echa be'tachtoin, or be'tzad ha'elyon tia tachtis ha'silum b'seich ha'mayim. Doesn't explain how you actually get the top one to be in the water, so I invented the elbow. V'shipua ha'silyon yeh kishir zu she'tismala lamata magia be'tachtis ha'elyon ha'mayim she'be'elyon. When it starts to flow, you put your hand on the bottom until it's totally full, the straw is totally full. It has a Shemeres Hanoid rega achad, for 1 second. And then when the initial push that your hand was holding up subsides, Yisharo Meshukin Kisaira Vidayoy. What are you shaking your head about, Yechiel? What I said makes absolutely no sense. You should be shaking your head like this, not like this.
He's saying that, but we're talking about the case of filling it up from filling up an empty one, or just connecting two?
Connecting the two. We're connecting the two. We're connecting the two. And
Does he hold you always need a connection while you're being toivel in the other one?
actually, he doesn't. That's actually a
So
question.
then I
that
should have
comes
really
up.
shook in my head no.
But that you shouldn't. You no reason to know that. But that's you happen to have hit pay dirt maybe, but you have no reason to have known that was going to be
No,
coming.
because if he held that,
I
you
understand.
needed-
Your cheshbon is correct. Your cheshbon
Right.
is correct. But here we have the strangest of things. We learned last week and 2 weeks ago, Rabbeinu Tam in the Re, that there's a concept of Shveres Hanod, and either you have to have it full, or you just have to have it some kind of minor amount. And here we said, not klipas hashum like it said over there. Here we seem to say that you have to have a share of a sa'ira, and it has to be the whole time. And what's the point in that? This is a Ian question that has to be dealt with in this Mishnah. But what really needs to be understood, and that we're going to stop over here and do this Mishnah again next week. We have to understand over here is why does it help? It just seems like there's a maintenance idea. Once you made it kosher with the Shveres Hanod, then afterwards for maintenance, it's good enough asayah. What should be the svar for that? But all the other Rishonim, they don't have any Shveres Hanod over here at all. And Peretz, I'm surprised you didn't say anything. Yovada, you don't need a Shveres Hanod because you're going over the top. And we learned about the Mishnayos that speak about when you're over the top, you don't need a Shveres Hanod. The Shveres Hanod is there to break a wall. There is no wall between the two.
But I thought over the top only works when it sees the sky, and this is a pipe.
No, I understand, but there's no wall between them.
But it's only over the top of the bottom one. It's not.
What's that? By the way, the Shveres Hanod, for all practical, this pipe, as far as I'm concerned, theoretically, you could stick it in the ground and have it, get into the top one from underneath, and it could be a U. It doesn't have to be a closed pipe. There's no chiyuv of it being a closed pipe.
It's a cooler. It's a close.
It could be a
U shape.
A U shape, yeah. Theoretically, if you can get it to work, there's no halacha to it. Okay.
I have a better picture, I think, of the Zriya here.
Yeah, but see, this is a bad picture because this one doesn't have it going on the steps.
This one, but this is the Borzria, and this is the Maim Shuvim that they're pushing into it, so it goes out into.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm saying the picture that you showed before has an added.
But this has hamshacha from the what's it called? This has hamshacha from the pipe. From the barrel.
Right, between Gimel and Dalet there's Amshacha,
right?
But there's some that have it both ways. Okay. Anyways, I guess we'll stop over here. We have over here. I have a whole book on from when I learned Mikvaot. I did a lot of research, so I have actually a book. Where does that come from? That picture, Peretz?
I have to check.
Oh, could you get rid of your picture for a minute?
Yes.
This is a sefer. It doesn't help very much. It's backwards, but
for us,
anyway.
For us, it's the right way.
We see it fine.
This is what I discussed last week. This place over here. This is the vacuum that takes the water out of the mikveh. So there's this little cavity so for the water to coagulate. Okay. Anyways,
picture said Taras Mayim, Sefer Taras Mayim.
Taras Mayim, yeah. I what about that sefer?
That's what the footnote said on the picture. That's where it's from.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, that's Tlushkin sefer. This guy Tlushkin was a Lubavitcher rabbi who lived in America in the 1910 to 1940 or something like that. And as a good Chabadsker, his mission in life was to make sure everybody went to the mikveh, men, women, and children, I guess. And he wrote a sefer, and part of his purpose was to validate that you can actually go to the mikveh in your bathtub in many places in New York. And he goes to explain how the water runs in New York City in different places, which streets the water is kosher to make a mikveh out of, and which streets it's not kosher. It's fascinating at the end of it. And we have to understand this is in America in 1920. You know, it's not, it wasn't like it is, you know, the Satmar wasn't around yet. You know what I mean? Yiddishkeit was going out of style quickly. So he was trying to say whatever he could. And then one of his issues had to do with pipes with elbows, which we're discussing right now. When Rabbi Leib Malin came to America, he wrote a fiery tshuva against him, and it's printed in the back of Chedushi Rabbi Leib on this subject to Rabbi Tlushkin. But there was with the Cheretz, you know, it wasn't a fight, a personal fight. It was a fight in learning. Okay, Mitzvah Shem will continue.